Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day out here, and it's beautiful because we are here to see it. Nothing else on this planet can know what beautiful is, except us. Anyhow, somebody asked me a question, and the question was, why is letting go so hard? And so I'm going to tell you a story to answer that question. Well, it's not really a story. Anyway, so why is it so hard to let go? Well, imagine that you're a ship captain. Let's say, I don't know, on the Titanic. And so you're on the Titanic and you're ship captaining, and little do you know, but there's something up ahead that's going to give you some trouble. Now, this could be in the form of a challenge. This could be in the form of somebody having something happen to them or dying. We don't know what the next challenge is that's going to upset your ship. Okay. And what is the ship? The ship is your life, and you're the captain of it, generally speaking. I mean, it's true that your ego is kind of running the show, but that's not super important at this point in time. So anyway, you're driving along over the ocean, which actually, what you're driving over is suffering. Because the ocean is basically just suffering. As long as you're on the surface of suffering, then everything's fine. But if you dive into the suffering, then you're going to suffer. So, you're a ship captain, and you're going along, and all of a sudden, you hear a screeching sound. And it's the iceberg. And you are the ship. Your life is the ship. That's what is the ship, okay? And you're the captain of that ship. And you're floating over the ocean, or the suffering. Well, it looks like it's going to rain. Well, I'm going to keep talking anyway. So there you are, driving the ship over the suffering. Driving yourself over the suffering. Driving your life over the suffering. Okay? And then something happens. In the case of the ship, it was an iceberg. But in your life, it could be anything at all. The wind is moving the camera back and forth, so I apologize for that. So, what is the thing that's going to cause you to dive deeper into the suffering? We don't know. I don't know what's going to cause that for you, and you don't know what's going to cause that for me. But it's going to happen, because life is full of challenges. Okay? The wind is just moving the camera around, so I am sorry about that. It's actually the tree that the camera is attached to that's getting moved. Anyway, so your life is the ship, okay? And you are riding the ship over the stormy waters of suffering. And so, what's the result? Something bad is going to happen. And the ship, that's your life, is going to go down into the suffering. And nobody wants to have anyone go down into the suffering, but that's just what happens. Okay? Maybe it's something like, I don't know, you get homeless. Or maybe your mom dies. Okay? We don't know what's going to happen. That's the way the world works. Okay? But something will happen. Something is going to happen. Everybody thinks that their life is just, going to sail along all fine, right? But that's not the way the world works. You're going to start going down into the suffering. And I'm not sure what's going to cause that, but that's what's going to happen. So there you are, and you're the captain of the ship, and your ship is beginning to go down. Now, you thought your ship was indestructible. You thought that your ship was the best ship ever made. But no, it wasn't, because it went down. And as you can hear the strings of the instrumentalist slowly sliding off the deck, you realize that you are going to die if you're in a ship and ship captain. So what can we take from this allegory, I guess you'd call it? I don't know what to call call it, but that's what I think it is. Your life is not so important, okay? I get that you think your life's important, and that's wonderful. But your life just isn't that important. If it goes down, it doesn't matter, okay? Because you still have you, which is way more important than your life, okay? What is your life? Let's talk about that. We talk about my life all the time, right? And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, right? But your life is this damn tree. Your life is what you've made it, right? Basically, you are a soul. And a soul doesn't have a life. A soul has God. Okay? So if you can contact your soul, then you can contact God. All right? And if you think your life is great and that it's indestructible and all that stuff that the ship captain thought about his life, about his ship, then, you are going to suffer. Because your life is not indestructible. Your life is a construct that you have made and everyone around you has made for you. Okay? What's really important is your awareness, your consciousness. This thing you call your life, and I call my life too, okay, isn't super important. And when things happen and your life goes awry, which we know it does and will, right? We let that just become everything. And we start going down into the suffering. Start sinking deeper and deeper into the suffering. Which I hate seeing. But anyway, so how do we get out of this idea of our life? Well, for one thing, realize that the span of years that you have on this planet is the span of years that you have on this planet. It's not your life, okay? I know this is a hard concept to get your mind around, but think about it like this. You are a soul, an immortal soul, okay? I know that sounds difficult to comprehend, but that is what you are. Anything else that you think you are, that's your life, okay? And if you cling to your life, okay, as it goes down, then you're going to suffer. And your life is going to go down because that is what your life does. It goes up and down, just like a wave. Well, actually, the wave doesn't move, but the trough and the crest do. But anyway, the point is that this thing you call your life, which is really just what you think, okay, isn't you. All right? And if you are clinging to that, just like the sea captain, he didn't want to fucking get off his boat, did he? No, he stayed on the boat. He stayed by the wheel. Which, of course, is what sea captains are supposed to do. And that's what you think you're supposed to do, too, when you hit a snag. Your life hits a snag, and you want to go down with your life, right? You're chained to your life. You've chained yourself to your life. Imagine there's a chain around your foot, and your life is going down into the suffering. And you have the power to unlock that chain. You have the key. Okay? So, what are you going to do? You're going to cling to your life. You're going to keep holding on to it until you're down deep, deep, deep in the suffering? Or are you going to let your life go? Letting go is really hard. I know that. But it's hard because that's just the way it is. Your life, you've had it your whole life. You've been making it slightly better here and there. You've been doing things. You've been achieving things. And you love that. part of yourself, don't you? Right? But your life isn't going to save you from going down. What's going to save you from going down? What is going to save you from going down? Well, there's only one thing, and that is awakening, becoming connected to your soul, through which you can feel God. You can't go down into suffering if you're feeling God on a daily basis. Excuse me. Anyway, so try to let your life go. And try to let a lot of other things that you think are you go with it. Okay? We all think we have a destiny. We all think that we're going somewhere. You know? But a lot of us wind up at the age, of 60 or 70 or whatever it is, and we suddenly realize, hey, I never went anywhere. What happened? So, that's because life is very difficult. Okay? And we can't always do what we want to do. And sometimes we try and fail. And that leads us down into suffering too. But you are not a person. You are not a life. You are a soul, an immortal being made by God that will return to God when this body and your body dies. Your body's going to die, and so is mine. No matter what science comes up with in the next 50 years, which they're trying to come up with something to make people live longer, right? But eventually, regardless of that, even if you live for 200 years, you're going to die. And that's a problem if you think you're your body. If you think you are your life, then your life ends. Right? And so that's a bad thing. You don't want that to happen to you. Okay? You want to go on into heaven, into the source, which you will. All souls return to the source once the life has been lived out. Okay? I don't know what the purpose of life is. I have no idea. Beyond the fact that it's the universe trying to get other people to experience themselves, okay? Now itself. We are the universe. Everything that you see and feel and taste and touch is part of who you are. And, as far as the terrible suffering that you're undoubtedly going to feel unless you change your acceptance of things, it's just hard. It's very difficult. So, try to accept that you are not a life. You are not a ship going somewhere. You are a consciousness. You are awareness. Okay? That's what you are. And you are also a soul. And one day, that psychological person that you think you are is going to drop off of existence. It's going to happen. And that's a terrible thing to have happen if you think that's what you are. If you think that you're that thing, then when you die, you're going to have a terrible experience. Because that's who you think you are, and you think you're dying. Whereas if you realize that you are a soul, then dying won't be so bad because you know that you are going to go back to the source. You're going to go to be with God. Whether that's in heaven or something else doesn't really matter. So try to accept that you are not a life, that you don't have a life. There's nothing about you that you can say, this is my life. Really. It's a construct. Okay? What you are is consciousness, awareness. You wouldn't be able to tell that you had a life if you didn't have awareness. You wouldn't be able to tell that you had an emotion if you didn't have awareness. Awareness is the bedrock of everything. And if you crowd everything out, including awareness, with your life, then you go into suffering. Then you're going to go down into suffering. Okay? Just like the Titanic did. And all the people on it. Which was a terrible thing, of course. But it's a good illustration on what your life is. Okay? And that's why I used it. Anyway. So, try to remember who you are. Try to remember that you are not a person. You are not a life. Okay? Because a life ends. Okay? That's what it does. You're a life form. Your body is part of a life form that you make up. But the part of you that has the consciousness, the part of you that has the awareness, that part of you cannot die. Well, I guess I'll shut up. I love you all because you're me. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. We are all one thing. We all came out of God. We were once part of God. And now we're all in these separate bodies. But we're still the one thing, which is God. I'm not saying I'm God or you're God or anything else, but the part of you that matters, okay? That's God. God took a piece of himself and made a soul made it out into a soul, okay? And put it in your body. You're slowly growing babyness, okay? And that's why you have consciousness, not any other reason. I've seen scientific studies about, consciousness is electric. Consciousness is a gift of God, which is why it's really important not to throw it away. Though, in fact, you can't really throw anything away because you're going to return to the source and then you'll probably come back again. At least that's what the reincarnationists think. Anyway, I love you all and try to accept